What's up, everybody? Tindo here, and with me I've got Hannah Bob Thornton, and today we're going garage selling. That's right, we're finally going garage selling on the channel, and there's a special reason why. We just happened to be in town for something else. We're in my hometown of Owensboro, Kentucky, a little town in Kentucky with about 40,000 people, which I understand by some people's metric is not exactly small, but it is small compared to Phoenix, where we're from. And so in Phoenix, garage selling is a lot different, and I've explained that to people. That's why we haven't been to a lot of garage sales on the channel. It's a different time of the year there. You can't go during the summer because it's 1,000 degrees. But here in Owensboro, there's a lot of garage selling. Any month it's not super hot or super cold, you can find garage sales for sure. But today's something special. There is a, is it statewide? I think it's nationwide. Like all across the country on Highway 60 once a year, there's yard sales. You can just drive down that highway and you're supposed to just be able to find yard sales wherever you're at. And we did not know when we were coming here that that was today, but it is. So we're going to go to a bunch of yard sales. I'm going to buy a bunch of video games. What are you going to buy?
Clothes.
Clothes. And yeah, we're probably going to come home with no money, but it's going to be awesome. So check this out. Are you ready to go to some yard sales? Well, I'm ready to go to some yard sales right after I get this cash. That's always the part I forget when I'm about to go to some yard sales. I need to have cash because nobody at yard sales is taking debit cards. Come on, it's 2019. Get a card reader. Just kidding. But I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to just end up in my hometown on a day when everybody's having a yard sale. So let's dig into it. Let's see if we can find any video games. I'm not really sure how this is going to go because the last time I regularly shopped yard sales in this area, video games were nowhere near on my mind. So I have no idea what we're about to get into. But right off the bat, first sale, Hannah finds a 90s Tommy Hilfiger sweater. Talking about lucky. She is on it right off the bat. And look, a pair of overalls. I've not found anything at this point. I've searched this yard sale top to bottom. So we're going to go ahead and pay for these overalls and this Tommy sweater, and then we're going to keep moving on down the road because standing in the front yard of this yard sale, you can see a yard sale there, you can see a yard sale there, you can see a yard sale back there. This is wild. This yard sale was right across the street from the last one, and the next few are just within eyesight, and that makes this really, really, really convenient. I remember back in the day being in this town, driving to yard sale after yard sale and finding nothing, and after 5 or 6 and sometimes 10, you're super ready to quit. And I'm afraid that that's how I'm going to feel at this point in the day because I'm used to going to thrift store after thrift store after thrift store that honestly are probably closer to one another than yard sales would be in and around my home county. And I'm used to going home with tons of game every time. I'm a little bit spoiled. That's what I'm saying. I'm a brat. I'm a spoiled brat. I'll go ahead and admit it. I'm spoiled. But thus far in the day, all I've found is a Minecraft sword that I already have. So I'm starting to feel like maybe this won't go so well, but we do have a lot of yard sales to go to before we call it quits. And my buddy did find some gun holsters. What'd you get?
Holsters.
Very nice.
Well, that's upside down.
What'd you get?
Nothing. Almost bought a jacket.
Almost.
It's too expensive.
But let's see if I can get over being a spoiled brat. This sale looks promising because from my car I could tell they had a bunch of toys, a bunch of kids stuff. And sometimes that's a safe assumption to think, hey, maybe they have video games. And I'm really hoping this time they do. The last couple I went to, I even asked, hey guys, do you have video games? They're like, nope, none of that, sorry. And yeah, so I didn't get any. But here, there's definitely a few video games, including a Windows copy of Halo. And I'm thinking, I might like to get that and maybe try it on one of my beater computers and play a little mouse and keyboard Halo. I've never tried that before. I've only ever played it with controller, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm a pretty terrible controller player. But there's a Rayman Raving Rabbids game here I'm definitely going to buy. I do already have it, but I'm going to buy it for a special reason. And then there's a Wii Play game. I'm going to go ahead and buy that as well. Video games! This next yard sale is probably my favorite one that I stopped at today. Right off the bat, an original Xbox, and it had a factory reseal sticker on it. So this was worked on by Windows and sent back. And it had a $5 sticker on it. I kind of regret not buying it now because that's about what I pay for them at the Goodwill bins. But it's just such a large, heavy thing that I don't really feel like putting back in the car and carrying all the way back to Arizona. So I'm just going to leave it behind. I find those all the time at the bins anyways. Here's a box of Star Trek Pez. It didn't have a sticker on it. I should have asked how much it was. If you've been with my channel for a little while, you know I've got a bit of an obsession with Pez, and there's reasons why, and there's videos on this channel that will explain why that maybe you should go back and watch. We have a Pez episode that things get a bit wild. But here's some tubs of Legos. I'm not really interested in Legos either. I get some trade-in credit for those at a certain store, but that's only if they're super cheap. I trade them in $1 amount per pound, and it's really not worth it unless I just get a ton of them and I get them for cheap. But this garage sale had tons of DVDs right out front, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if there's a bunch of games in there? And I looked over them pretty loosely, but there were no video games in there. And as I looked around, I didn't see any more video games, so I asked the lady running the place, and she pointed at a stack over on the table, and I went and checked those out. But there was a really funny thing going on while that happened. She was yelling at her husband, who I just walked past, who was out there putting those DVDs on the rack. It was like, where's the video games? Where's the video games? She yelled it at him 20 times, and finally he stood up and went, what? And she said, video games. She said, they're gone. I said, well, that's a bummer. But I did go inspect the ones that were here, and they were all 25 cents. And I wasn't even going to stop and look if I already had them, because 25 cents, just give them to me, I'll take them. Because we're trying to go home with video games for these garage sales. But there are definitely, most of these I don't have. There's like 2 that I wasn't sure about. And I still haven't checked. I'll check later. But most importantly, there's a Rugrats PlayStation 1 game there. Loose disc, it's in a PlayStation 2 case, but I have the original case for it. So I'm definitely going to buy that. But as I was saying, that guy said he had a bunch of video games, but they're not here. They didn't specify if they already sold them today or what, but I have a little bit of a nightmare that maybe I missed tubs full of 25-cent games. That's a bummer if that's true, but I don't really worry about that kind of thing too much. I don't like to lose sleep over these things because you know what? You know I'm going thrifting tomorrow. If I'm going thrifting tomorrow, I'm just going to find more stuff tomorrow. There was also a Game Boy at this yard sale, and it was in its case, and it had all these third-party peripherals. And I asked the guy how much, and he said $20. And you know what? That's a good price for a Game Boy Advance and a charging peripheral and just a bunch of other stuff. But I don't know. It was a little bit too much for what I normally spend for those. And I already have that bag. I already have that Game Boy, and there's just not enough resale value in it for me to really worry about it. It's not worth my time, is what I decided. But I still kind of wish that I bought it, just because it had all those peripherals in there. But I am going to leave here with a stack of games, which is never a bad thing. That was a really interesting stop because those people were obviously resellers, which you can just tell. That's a really normal thing around here in my hometown. It might be a normal thing where you're at, I don't know, but this is really the only part of the world that I'm super familiar with yard sales. But it was funny because they were even talking about picking up and going back home. They were at a friend's house selling in their yard. That's what some people do when they have a lot of stuff for resale. They just move their garage sale around to different friends' house so that the traffic doesn't get stale. Pretty interesting. Also very interesting about that one is that guy's wife was yelling at him the whole time, where's the video games at? This guy wants video games. She kept telling me he had tubs full of them, just like he had tubs full of DVDs. But he finally yelled back to her that they're all gone, so I don't know if that means I missed them today. Like earlier today, I could have had tubs of video games for $1, because all those games I just bought were $1. So we got 13 for $3.25. Quick math. But yeah, so we should have gotten out earlier today, but we've been driving cross country and we're just really tired. So we started hitting the garage sales at like 9. And as all you other garage sellers out there know, you gotta go a little earlier than that for the good stuff. But I'm not mad, I found some good stuff. Regrettably, I did not get a great establishing shot of this yard sale. There is a whole strip of storage units, and everyone that had stuff stored in these storage units had a yard sale out in front of the storage unit on this day. And I thought that was wild. And I looked at all these people's stuff and I saw nothing even remotely close to something I wanted except for that GameCube game that I just got. And I dug through most of this bin just to make sure there was nothing in there. But the guy running this yard sale came up and helped me. He's like, what are you looking for? I was like, video games. He kept showing me stuff. Is this a video game? I was like, no, it's not. So that was a really interesting stop. Got a GameCube game. Super excited about that. But those people have storage units. They just open up on the weekends. Every weekend they open them bad boys up and have a yard sale. Interesting, huh? This next stop's pretty interesting because it's outside of a bunch of indoor flea markets that I actually planned on making an episode on while I was here. But I don't think that's going to happen because they're going to have yard sales out in front of them all day. And most of the people that sell in there are going to actually be outside. So this is kind of a 2-for-1. Just know that these yard sales that we're about to run around at right now, all these people set up, most of them are probably flea market vendors. So it's going to probably change the quality of stuff that is for sale there just a little bit. I'm so excited about this next one. I've bought so much random stuff from this exact sale over the years. I'm very excited to go to it again. I do have to say, though, it's not quite as grand as it used to be. And there's a really interesting reason why. And that's because Highway 60 used to run right along the road this sits on. But after a lot of changes that my town went through, Highway 60 was rerouted about, I don't know how many miles, so don't quote me, but like 5 or 10 miles north, up and around town instead of through it. And so I think since that's changed, that this yard sale's been affected. And back in the day when this sale was going on, there was a patch of land up the road where you would usually find the most people having a sale. And I went there, and I didn't even put it on camera because there was one lonely vendor and he was only selling like cornhole boards. And that's because where he was sitting is no longer Highway 60. It moved up. Kind of a bummer, but it is a really interesting thing to know. And also, while we're at it, guys, if you know anything about this sale, if it happens in your neck of the woods, comment below and let me know about it. I'm very curious about this whole thing and how far it stretches and how many people attend it. So tell me about it if it's in your area. This place right here behind me called Consumers Mall, that was the only place to go when I was a kid to buy your Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And yeah, I spent a lot of time in there. Used to have Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in there too. So just about the time that I thought I'd been to all the booths at this sale, I finally struck gold. I really didn't think I was going to, but this guy had a big stack of games tucked in with his DVDs and a messy piece of paper stuck on the side that said half off video games. And most of the games were pretty reasonably priced. And there was a copy of Dark World in there, but it was a reproduction case and didn't have its manual, but it was a type of reproduction case that I collect. I really should have bought it, but I made myself not buy it at this point. We still had another video the next day to shoot in this town, and I was like, well, don't spend all your money here. Don't buy every single one of these games, I'm telling myself. You probably wouldn't be surprised to find out how much I have to tell myself that. Don't buy all of them. Just buy most of them. So I left that Dark World there. I wish I'd gotten it now, but there was a bunch of other stuff I got in here for pennies, a bunch of stuff that was marked $2 or $4 that I got half off. But this was definitely the find of the day. And this gentleman that was selling these was very nice. He seemed very happy that someone was taking these off of his hands. So it seems like video game buying here isn't exactly what it is where I currently live. So that seems pretty interesting. Has no one else at all came through here today and bought the video games? So once I cleared this place of all of its video games, I decided to go look for Hannah. And I had to look pretty hard because she was buried in some clothes somewhere. But once I found her, she looked like maybe she wasn't having as good as a time as me, which is kind of a bummer because I really thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought she was going to do great with clothes and I wasn't going to do too great with video games. When in reality, these yard sales weren't too good for her and the video games were okay-ish for me. But that's actually really funny because it was flip-flop in her hometown. When we went to her hometown, she bought so many clothes it was wild, and I only bought a handful of video games. Definitely go back and watch those episodes in her hometown. They're some of the best we've ever made, if I may say so myself. It was really fun following Hannah around her hometown. But my hometown was fun. It was fun to go to a lot of yard sales, and man, did I luck out coming during a time when this was going on. Man, I'm still over the moon that I lucked out that much and that happened. And finally, Hannah found something, a pair of shorts, and she saw immediately that they had $1 on them, and she recognized the brand, so she went up and bought those things immediately. So that's it for this outdoor flea market pretending to be a yard sale. It was awesome. I found a big stack of games for real cheap. There was a couple games there that I still kind of wish I'd bought, but they were just a little bit too pricey for what they were. Hannah noticed that the prices at this outdoor flea market masquerading as a yard sale were a little bit higher than the regular yard sales, but she did find a pair of shorts, so not all is lost. But let's go back to my buddy's house. We'll sit around and tell you what we got. All right, guys, we're back, and we bought a ton. I'm gonna just show you my stack. This went way better than I thought it was going to. You know, I know a lot of people that are into garage selling. I come from a family of garage sellers. When I was growing up, I'm pretty sure that 90% of my clothing, pretty much everything but our socks and underwear, came from garage sales. Almost definitely. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get back to my roots. I'll tell you what, this channel has done a lot of that for me, taking me back. It's done a lot of taking me back, because I've spent a lot of time at garage sales. And I was reminded of things today when we went garage selling. I was reminded of all the times that my grandmother got me out of bed at 6 o'clock, and by like 9 o'clock, after literally 100 yard sales, I was starving and I was about to die. And that happened today. We got up early, and by like midday, I was so hungry I thought I was going to die. Which was cool, because we ended up having a birthday party to go to, and I ate like 6 hamburgers. It's a problem. I'm going to feel that here in a little bit. But it was fun. I bought a lot of stuff. What else was I reminded of? There's something else. How many garage sales do you have to go to just to get some stuff? Because probably the first 6 or 7 we went to, I found like one game. And then all of a sudden we went to one spot, and it was just like, oh, you want video games? Here you go. How'd you feel about it?
It was hit or miss for me. I felt like it was a lot of, just things that I wasn't looking for, but nice stuff. But the prices were good, so that was
Prices
exciting.
were good enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really thought you were going to do better with clothes than I did with video games, and it was kind of the other way around. But I don't know. It could have just been bad luck. That's the hard part. We're not going to be here in my hometown much at all for the rest of the year, especially when garage sale season comes back around, to really find out whether or not it's usually bad or not. But I think the things you did get were like...
They were good, yeah.
She got a couple bangers. So let's do your stuff first, and then we'll talk about my video games.
Yeah. This baby for 25 cents.
So, as most of you know, we resell clothing, and that's how we pay for this. Something we sell a ton of is anything that has Winnie the Pooh or a Winnie the Pooh character on it. And that seems so silly. And it seems so silly to me now that we're able to sell these things, but we're gonna get a little penny out of this. It's nice.
It says proud to be cuddly.
I didn't see that. It's kind of like almost embroidered. It's gonna be hard to see. Proud to be cuddly. Is that like I'm fat, but
it's like fluffy but nicer.
all right, pleasantly plump,
yeah.
as my father would say. Don't be like my father.
So some little green bongo shorts. Somebody was selling everything for $1, so I picked these up. They're in really good condition.
I love the late game and the day of garage selling when everyone's just like, take my stuff, and you get it for $1. I got some video games that way. The best video games I got today were half off because of that.
These are pretty neat. These were some
Wow.
little overalls. They're just kind of interesting.
Yeah, they're not normal overalls. They're not bib overalls.
Right.
They're just strap overalls. Turn around. And it's got lining. You don't see overalls with lining much.
Yeah. They're cute.
Yeah.
So
They're a bigger size too, aren't they?
they are, yeah.
Yeah. It's we have a little bit of a niche where we sell for larger clothing. It's an app that a lot of people that sell on it will tell you don't sell large clothing, it won't sell. We ignored that advice earlier on, and not only do we sell a lot of plus size clothing, but we get a lot of positive feedback for it. We get a lot of thank yous for, hey guys, thanks for carrying bigger stuff, and it sells just fine. So we're very happy to find those.
This is probably my crown jewel, though. This is the Tommy Sports.
This made me speechless when we found it. What did we pay for it? $5?
$5.
Yeah, there's not much to say here. 90s Tommy stuff. It fetches a pretty good penny on the online clothing market. So we'll probably just be posting this like tonight, just because of how awesome it is, and might make a few bucks on it before we even get back home, which is always nice. We're definitely not asking anybody on here to go buy our clothing. We have plenty of other people buying our clothing. But if you want to check out this stuff after we bought it and see how we post it, if you're interested in that kind of thing, or if you like vintage clothing, there will be links below. Go check that out. But that's all the stuff you got, right?
That's everything.
All right, well, I got like 100 games, so let's talk about that. There's some interesting things to chat about as we go through them. Like this first big stack, I got them all for 25 cents a piece. And the people that sold them to me were definitely resellers. And they move around a lot. They have a garage sale at a different place every week, and they try to fool people to come back anyways. It's a thing people do, and I'm really familiar with that, being here. There's a lot of people here that do that. I used to go garage selling with my grandfather, and he would always pass up garage sales, and I'd be like, that would look good, Papa, and he would just recognize them from the car window. But no, they're resellers. And he didn't have anything against them. He just knew he didn't have to go there. but maybe once a year just to check out what they had. That's how he felt. So that's interesting. And what I want you guys to do is comment below and let's talk about that. Do you guys recognize that in your area when you garage sale? And also, are there other things like that you recognize? Definitely comment that stuff below. Let's talk about it. Or if you want to have an even more in-depth conversation, join our Discord server. It's a cool little place where we chat with each other separate from the channel. I want your comments here on YouTube. Don't skip out on that. But if you want to talk about deeper things, if you want to do some questions for us, we have places over there on our Discord to do that. Link below. Join it. Let's talk. But resellers. This first stack is from resellers, so let's go through them. It's a bunch of sports stuff. It's all they had left. I guess I missed out on the better stuff, but NCAA football 2005, Madden 2005, Madden 2006, ESPN football, lots of sports stuff, ESPN 2K5, but I am going for that complete collection, so I got to get all this stuff, and I am super pumped when I can pay $1 for it and not even $1. Head coach. This is interesting. I don't know much about these sports games, but I guess it's cool to just play through as a coach. Okay, so this happened. Oops, but I paid $1 for him, so it's okay. This was one of the more exciting finds of the day because I want that complete GameCube collection so bad I can taste it. I got a street football game. And I guess this is like a football game with parkour or something. Something wild like that, like jumping over stuff. And I don't know. Comment below if this is good and we should play it. I've never played it. NFL Street 2. More sports. NBA 2K13. PS3. And here is a PlayStation 2 game in a white case. And it is Madden 2004. A lot of sports games today, but I promise you there's more. NCAA 08 football. I'm thinking about creating a spreadsheet separate from my spreadsheet with just the sports games on it so there's something easier to access. Because when I go to the spreadsheet where I keep track of my games, the only thing difficult about the way I have my spreadsheet arranged is sports games. Because there's just so many and there's so many different ways they're listed that it burns me up. If you guys want to check out my spreadsheet and what's on my list and how I keep things organized, there's a link below. Go check that out. It's kind of interesting to look at, and every day I buy video games, I update the spreadsheet. Halo 3, it's in a aftermarket case. I'll put it back in the right case. NBA 2K11, it's got Michael Jordan on the front. And then Wii Play, I think this was, I thought that was missing its disc, but it's not. I love me some Wii. Got a handful of Wii games today. Rayman, Raving Rabbits. I actually already have this, but I bought it again on purpose because we're going to do a Wii giveaway really soon. And I'm looking for some games to bundle with the Wii when we give it away. And that's what it is. So if you're into that kind of thing, subscribe so that you can come back later. Hit that bell notification so that you can get a notification to come back later. And if maybe you'd like to win a Wii with some really great games, you'll get a chance for that soon if you subscribe. And if you hit that bell notification. So Rugrats, the movie, and it was in this case, but let me tell you why I bought it. Because for 2 days in a row, I have found games loose that I have the cases for at home. So I'm just going to go home and put that in its case. Very happy to find that. I love it. I love it when a whole complete inbox game comes together from parts. I don't know why, but like that scratches a very specific itch for me. Call of Duty 3 on the Wii. I always crack up when I see Call of Duty games on the Wii on a Nintendo system because it just doesn't make that much sense. NHL 2K3, another one of those 25-cent games. And then another 25-cent game. Pets, Horses 2. I got several horse games today too. FIFA 08. I swear we're getting to the good stuff here. NHL 2004. NCAA Basketball 10. And then here comes the good stuff. Here's a game that I've actually passed up a few times in game stores back home because the game was too expensive. And tons of people have been like, man, the games you talk about you would really like this game. Well, I got it cheap today. I got it for $2. It says $4, but it was half off. Genji. Very happy. Dawn of the Samurai. I'm very happy to have this game. I'll actually be playing this as soon as we get home. It's one of the ones on the top of my list of all this nonsense I've bought to go home and play because of how much you guys have told me to play it. So I'm going to check that out. This was I was very excited about too. It's a 2-disc game, Justice League Heroes. I got it for half off. It's not in a 2-disc case, so I'm gonna have to go back home and put that in a 2-disc case. But very happy to have that. This is awesome. A greatest hits edition of Ratchet and Clank. Up your arsenal. I actually have not played this particular Ratchet and Clank, so I'll be playing this. That's another one I'll be playing soon. I love me some platformers. Platformers are the best. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 in perfect condition, like it's never been touched. And then 2 more here. This was awesome. Another half off one. Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. I believe I had this on the original Xbox, but I didn't have the PlayStation 2, and I definitely didn't have the greatest hits one. So got it. And then here's a game I did have but didn't have the greatest hits, so I bought it today. Midnight Club Street Racing. And that's everything. It's a big stack of games. There's some stuff in there I'm really excited about. The GameCube stuff was awesome. Those last couple of Marvel games, or the Marvel game and the DC game that I got, was awesome. I'm very happy about those. The thing that's crazy about all those games is I probably spent, what, like 20 bucks on them? It was definitely way cheaper at the garage sales than it was at the thrift, which I knew would be a thing. A lot of people have tried to tell me so adamantly to go to garage sales because you'll get it cheaper there, and I don't want to spend my time explaining myself, so I don't always exactly reply with the long version, but like, I know that they're so much cheaper there. But, you know, they're also not quite as certain as Goodwills are, and for the content I want to make and how I like to shop anyways, thrift stores are going to stay my main thing. But I will go to garage sales from now on whenever I can, because I do like those cheap deals. The only cheaper I've ever done than that is at gaming expos, where I can just buy stacks of games for nothing, you know? So I like garage sales. We'll definitely be doing it again. But let's talk about what our favorite things we found were. What was your favorite thing you bought?
Probably the Tommy hoodie.
Yeah, for sure, because that's, if we could find one of those a day, we could pay our bills very easily without very much work at all. My favorite thing was probably that Genji game. I was excited about that Marvel and that other DC game, but that Genji game was definitely my favorite. You guys comment below, let us know what your favorite thing that we bought today was. Maybe comment below and let us know what your least favorite thing was. If any of you say the Winnie the Pooh sweater, just go ahead and unsubscribe because it's awesome. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. None of that was bad. There was a lot of sports games, so we probably could have done without sitting through 20 minutes of rattling off sports titles for games. But I'm sorry. I want all of them. I want every single one of them. So you're going to have to live with it, is what I'm saying to you. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Like I said earlier, go join the Discord. We need you to go join the Tin Dojo so that we can chat about things, right? Thank you so much for watching, guys. And before you go, hit that like and subscribe button. And most importantly, hit that notification bell so that when we post these videos in the future, we go to garage sales, you can come and go with us. And until then, guys, peace out.